Hello, this is for ITL 516 Mathematics. This assignment is the learning progression, number and operations in base 10. We are group 4, Kimberly Harding, Annie McIntosh, Susanna Quintero, and Shannon Ramirez for Professor Geifert. For our learning progression, we are focusing on number and operations in base 10. So starting with kindergarten, our Common Core standard is NBT A1, working with numbers 11 through 19 to gain foundations for place value. So in kindergarten, the students need to compose and decompose numbers from 11 to 19 into 10 ones and some further ones, such as using objects or drawings, and record each composition or decomposition by a drawing or equation, such as 18 equals 10 plus 8. They also need to understand that these numbers are composed of 10 ones and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 ones. And the standards for mathematical practice, this allows students to make sense of problems and persevere in solving them, model with mathematics, and use appropriate tools strategically. So for kindergarten, the conceptual knowledge, the students will be using concrete manipulatives such as counters for whole, part math, also digital manipulatives online, and then connecting manipulatives to representational images and abstract equations, such as the CRA model as noted in our text. For procedural fluency, the students will be able to identify the whole number, which is the large number, identify one part of the whole, identify the other part of the whole. They will use counters to count on and then understand and write equations within 20. So our essential question for this activity is, how can we find the missing part of an addition equation? For example, 18 equals 6 plus question mark. So prior to beginning this activity, the students should already know how addition works and how to decompose values within 10. They should also be able to count up to 20. Some misconceptions and errors in this area. The students may confuse the equation with subtraction because it is presented in a different way than the typical 6 plus something equals 18. They may make errors in counting within 20 from any starting point. So although by this point they should have mastered up to 10, we would hope that they would have also mastered up to 20 and being able to count on with any given number. So if we give them the number 16, they should be able to say 17, 18, 19, 20. For technology, there are two connections here. At the beginning of the activity, the students will watch a BrainPop Junior video to activate prior knowledge and build some background knowledge in counting on. And then they'll also use the Mimeo, which is an interactive whiteboard for digital manipulatives. So for the Big 5 pedagogy, we would start with the calendar. Students begin in whole group with a calendar. This will be displayed on the interactive whiteboard where students are able to manipulate items on the whiteboard digitally. They will count the days in the month and add 1 cube in the place value pocket chart for today, and then count the total days in school. As a group, we can make observations about the ones place and see if it has already made 10. If it has already made 10, we can actually replace all of the ones with a tens rod in the tens pocket. And then quarterly, the students will say the tens and ones value using a sentence frame. So they can say 5 tens and 7 ones makes 57. So that would be 57 days in school. Then we can move on to the whole group instruction and practice. Students will develop fluency by working collaboratively in pairs to solve equations. So going back to our essential question, the students need to be able to identify the whole, write it on the mat, one part, write that on the mat, and then count on for the missing part. And you'll see that in just a second with several images. For the missing part, the students may use token manipulatives to count on from the first given part, which is the number 6. Then they would write the answer on their recording sheet and proceed to the next problem. So important academic language that they need to know is whole, the part I know, and the part I'm missing. Addition, sum, equation, decompose, and compose. So this vocabulary should actually be reviewed prior to instruction so that they have information about what each means, and then of course throughout instruction. For assessment, independently following the activity, students will take an end of the unit assessment in paper pencil with the option of using the manipulatives that they have access to. They will have practice with manipulatives, which is the concrete part of the model. They will have also practice with drawings, representational part of the CRA model, and algorithms. So that's the abstract portion prior to the assessment. Then they must write the whole, the part they know, and the part that is missing in a visual representation and solving the missing part in an equation. So as mentioned before, for technology connection, they will be using the whiteboard, Mimeo digital manipulatives during instruction and guided practice. And then here are some examples of what that looks like. So for the counting on brain pop, this is it right here. It is counting on. So students will learn how to start from a given number and then count on to reach a sum. Here is the place value. So this is interactive with the students. They can actually take the Mimeo marker and move from the pocket to the tens place, the ones place, or even the hundreds place. They can digitally move the rods and the cubes. And then also we have here the placemat. So in this example, you can see the whole is 12. The part that they know is 4, and they must use the strategy of counting on by adding physical tokens, counting on to reach number 12. Then they would count the total of tokens to get their answer. And that is for kindergarten, number base 10.